Jai Bhim, welcome to BebaakBhasha's Dalit Lives Matter, and I am Deeothi Sukumar. Today, let's talk about untouchability. What is untouchability, and how to decoding untouchability that is seen even in a time of disaster like the tsunami and the COVID. Caste and untouchability is everywhere. There is no place or no time where we can say that caste and untouchability does not exist. We are seeing it all around us, everywhere and all the time, wherever we are, whether it is in a public space, whether it is in a household. There are so many different forms, and because there are so many different forms, and it is happening so regularly, and it is happening throughout the day, it's become a kind of a normal. And also the normal is also because it is there in every religion. It's there especially in the scriptures, in the Vedas, and it is sanctioned by religion that a person can be or will be born into a caste. He's that caste by birth, and because of that he has a degree of either purity or he is born as a polluting person. So that is what untouchability is all about. When a person who thinks that he or she is purer than another person wants to keep the person who she thinks or he thinks is a polluting person to be untouched, that she cannot touch him and she will not or he will not touch him or take anything from him or her. That is untouchability. Avoid all physical contact. And this is very much seen and it becomes very normal, especially in the time of any kind of a disaster. And in disasters, we see that the level of a disaster is always assessed by how many people have died, how many people get killed, how many things are damaged, and how much of destroy is happening, damage is happening, destruction is happening. And then after that, what happens? The relief, and then we have the reconstruction that is happening. In all this, especially when a disaster happens, we can very clearly see how caste and untouchability is perpetrated not just by the public, not just by the civil society, but by the state, and the government itself is perpetrating this entire institution of caste and the practice of untouchability. So take for instance, when we had the tsunami, and thousands died in the South India in December 2004. That's where actually I personally saw this whole practice of caste and untouchability unfolding so visibly on the ground. It first we saw it happening as soon as there were so many dead bodies lying around. There was so much of destruction. Whole houses had collapsed, and all kinds of dirt and debris lying all around. And at that time, we saw how the state government itself brought Safai Karmacharis from different districts in those states of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. They were brought from districts that were not even affected by the tsunami, because nobody else, there were so many dead bodies lying around, and they did not have enough of the Safai Karmacharis who are born as Dalits to clear up those dead bodies. So, and how were they brought, these Safai Karmacharis? We saw it with and we were so shocked and agitated by it. They were brought in garbage trucks, the same trucks that is used to pick up garbage and to pick up all the shit and the muck from the streets. These corporation garbage trucks or lorries, these open garbage trucks and lorries, Safai Karmacharis, they just went and their houses in the middle of the night, knocked on the doors, just pulled them out, loaded them into the trucks like garbage, and brought them to the tsunami affected those seaside areas, and just made to start removing the bodies. When we saw them working without any kind of protective gear, and these were rotting dead bodies. And even after that, the way it has happened or unfolded was that when we talked to them, when we talked to the Safai Karmacharis who had cleaned up the dead bodies, they said that they had to go searching for water to wash. There was no soap to wash themselves. And all this, when we went, when we tried to go and intervene with the local government, at least for the provision of water, because at that time, even we, seeing that kind of destruction and death all around, even we were not able to bring ourselves to say stop this kind of work. We could only ask, please give water and soap, or at least give the gloves and the boots for cleaning up this kind of all the dead bodies and the debris. But what we were told by the local government officials was, this is a disaster that her history has not seen before this, and we cannot be going providing all these things to these kind of people. It is a natural way of working for these kind of people, was what we were told. This was the first thing that we came across at that time. The first time we saw such kind of a blatant practice of untouchability and casteism and caste discrimination against human beings. It was a shock. And the next thing that we saw was that in the COVID also the same thing. Thousands of bodies lying in the crematoriums and in the burial grounds. And who was there? Because relatives were not allowed to come, the family members were not allowed to come. And here we were, our own Safai Karmachari, born as into this caste-based discrimination of being Dalit. They were forced and made to remove the dead bodies, carry them, lift them, COVID infected, risking everything to go and dig these deep burial pits or carry them on stretchers and dispose of these bodies in a way so that all the others, the entire public, can be kept safe and away from COVID. This is how the entire, the practice of caste and untouchability was seen, that it was perpetrated by the government itself. And after all this, nothing is being said, no recognition, nothing has been said, and there is so much of inequality even in the kind of either compensation or even the kind of recognition or appreciating the work that has been done. What a doctor or a hospital official received at the end of all this, and what the Safai Karmachari, who actually kept the entire place safe and free from disease, the kind of recognition, appreciation the Safai Karmachari received, there was so much of disparity and so much of discrimination. This is an open and a very, very visible and a very tangible kind of a caste and untouchability that was seen at this time. And it is not as though it was only then at that time. It is happening every day, wherever we are and whatever is happening. When a person dies, when anybody even today in the burial ground or in the crematoriums, untouchability is happening and there is caste happening everywhere.